Right, guys, welcome to the podcast. We're in Thailand, Koh Samui. Joined here with my brother, ICT Fanatic. How you doing, bro? All right, so first things first, how long have you been training for?
So I've actually been training for around 5 years, and the first 2 to 3 years of my trading career was actually I was learning basically off retail concepts, and I was unprofitable for around 2 to 3 years. It was a big struggle, and I was managing, obviously working a 9 to 5 job at the same time as trying to learn how to trade at the same time. So it was difficult. It definitely wasn't an easy process, but I was working on basically a night shift pattern, doing security,
Mhm.
and it was a little difficult because you'd start at 6 p.m. and finish at 6 a.m. And for UK time, you get back at 6 a.m., then obviously you sleep, and you wake up for 2:30 market open, and it was a difficult work-life balance. And then after that first payout was when I really started to get the ball rolling. And then obviously I stayed inside of that job until I actually got the second payout. As soon as that second payout landed, that was it, done.
Yeah.
And I quit the job and I moved out of the country. I literally left after that second payout. I quit the job, left the country, and started scaling up from there.
Okay, perfect. So, how have you separated yourself from ICT and found your own model?
The main thing is when you're trading ICT concepts is to not get too overwhelmed with all the different concepts out there. There is so many things on the market and there's so many things all over social media these days with ICT. There's so many different concepts out at the moment, and it's very easy for a new trader approaching ICT to get very, very overwhelmed with all of it. But the one thing is, and the key thing to note down, is to just trade one model. Once you find your model, that's it. You don't have to be always trying to learn, and overwhelming yourself. Once you find your model, that's it. You trade that model. And for someone who's new to ICT, I honestly recommend you start where I started, which was on the Market Maker series. And the 2022 mentorship is the best place to start. Once you study through that 2022 mentorship, it will probably take you around a few weeks or maybe a month. But for me, I actually watched the whole mentorship in about a week or two. But you're not going to have a full understanding of the 2022 after just a week. So maybe you have to take notes and rewatch it maybe 2, 3, 4 times. I've watched it personally around 4 or 5 times. And there's not just the 2022 that you should watch. There's obviously my videos on my channel, which I cut all of the waffle out from ICT because he goes on a few tantrums and then obviously he's going to drop in a gem out of nowhere. So it's very important, not only the 2022, but you want to study other models to fit your personal preference.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I think the 2022 is a very good place to start for most beginners.
100%.
All right, so this deep into your trading career, do you still study new concepts that get released by ICT, or do you just stick to the main models that you trade
Yeah.
right now?
So obviously ICT is always releasing new models and new mentorships every single year. He says he's gonna go and he always comes back, and it's gonna be the way, for the rest of time, I believe. He's not gonna disappear. And he also said, Bitcoin hits 100K, he's gonna delete his YouTube channel. I mean, it's $100 off. His channel's not gonna get deleted. But the one thing is that once you have found your model, I have already said this, you stick to trading that model. And I myself, I'm not going out watching the 2024 mentorship, which he's just released now. Obviously, it's live training. It can definitely benefit a lot of people. But me, myself, I've found my model. I'm profitable. I've got a solid win rate and I feel comfortable and I have trust in my model. So there's no point me going out trying to learn more and learn new concepts which may not actually fit my personal preference.
Yeah, exactly. So, was trading the first business you started?
There's been so many businesses that I've worked throughout my life. The first business, if I recall back to when I was around 13, 14 years old, obviously I was always trying to make money and I could already see the route that I was going down. Obviously, in school, parents want good grades and send you off to a job and have a successful career. In their eyes, that's amazing. For me, no, I'm trying to get to the top. I'm trying to be the best, make a name for myself, not just work in some regular job. Obviously, I always wanted to be in some sort of financial industry, maybe investment banking, but 6 figures and they're working for a hedge fund and they're building someone else's whole brand, whole business, but you're not building anything for yourself. And I personally couldn't do that. One of the first businesses that I actually started was an iPhone repair business from my parents' house, and I was repairing people's phones. And the business is still live on Facebook. It's called iPhone Repairs Dorset. And I used to literally repair people's screens, batteries, cameras. I used to go out to their house and travel to their apartment and basically actually just repair their phones. And then I also tried other businesses where I started up a clothing line. I also done drop shipping, SMMA, which is social media marketing. Every single business model or everything you would have heard of on social media, YouTube, typing in on obviously how to make money online. And I've watched all of the videos, everything. And I've dabbled in and out of trading for the past 5 years. That was when I started trading early, around late 2019, early 2020 was when I officially took trading a little more serious, because that is when I originally got into crypto. So it all started with crypto. And in 2020, I bought Bitcoin when it was around 9.5k dollars. Obviously, it's at 100k now, so I'm chilling.
Yeah.
But I started originally with crypto at around 9.5k, and I was in year 11 in secondary school at the time. I hadn't actually I've got sixth form at that point. I was still around 15, 16 years old, and I threw all of my net worth into Bitcoin at the time, which was only around £800, £900. But for at the time, that was all I had at 15 years old. And then around literally 6 months to a year later, that actually 3x, and Bitcoin hit around $30,000, and I just cashed it all out. And that was what initially sparked the interest that you can actually make a lot of money from trading. And from that point onwards, I was always just learning different concepts. At this point, I never discovered about ICT or anything. I was trading retail concepts, trend lines, RSIs, moving averages, supply and demand, all the different retail concepts which you would have already heard of. And personally, I wasn't seeing any sort of profitability. I wasn't comfortable or confident in the model that I was actually trading when I was trading supply and demand and other concepts that you would have heard of on social media. It never personally worked for me, and I never found a successful win rate or even had a strategy that I could rely on. And then when I stumbled across ICT, which was in around mid 2021, me and my friend here, we was walking up the hill back from the gym. And this was like our last shot, because at this point, we had tried pretty much every single business you would have ever heard of, and nothing was working for us at the time. And this is the last gem from God which was given to us. Literally the last thing. And when we came across ICT in mid of 2021, it literally clicked instantly. We started watching the videos and we was like, this guy's onto something. We instantly knew. The whole approach to trading was completely different of what we was originally doing. We was trading options, supply and demand, as I already said, and nothing was working. We came across this and it instantly switched our whole view on the market completely.
Yeah, instantly clicked.
Instantly.
I just want to add as well, we have tried many businesses, right? Literally anything you can think of, we've tried. But when it came to trading, we've always come back. We've always stuck to trading.
We went off and done drop shipping. We tried other businesses, but in the back of our heads, we said if we got to trading to actually work and actually secure consistent payouts, we knew that would be the way forward.
Yeah, because we've quit trading a few times, but we've always come back to it.
Always. The point where it actually clicked was in mid 2021. So obviously, I started watching the Market Maker series, and as we neared 2022, literally around January time, ICT started posting out absolute gems. This is when the 2022 mentorship started getting released. And I started studying every time and every single week, day that he released a new video of the 2022 mentorship. I started watching it over and over and over and getting a more in-depth understanding. And it was by the time he actually completed the 2022 mentorship, and it was around mid of 2022 when that mentorship was completely finished, is that I actually secured my first payout, which was around $10,000. And I was currently working a job at the time. So I was working security. I was doing the night shifts, as I already explained. I was working on nightclubs as well. So I was doing around 16-hour shifts, 6 days a week. So my mental clarity, trying to approach price at market open and do what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Whilst I've already done a 16-hour shift, I was out of my mind. And somehow at that point, I still secured a payout due to the fact I was very patient and disciplined in the actual trades that I was taking. I was not revenge trading. I was avoiding all of the bad habits that people talk about. And that's how I secured my first payout. But what actually happened after the first payout that I secured, it all went out the window. Because you get to a point when the initial first payout comes in. For some people, maybe not. But for me, I thought that I could trade every single macro. I thought that I was basically the god of the markets. I could do whatever I like and any setup would actually play out, and I almost wasn't an ICT trader anymore. I was more of a retail pattern-based trader where I was looking for pattern-based setups, not liquidity-based setups. So I just see something which looked like a 2022 model setup, but really it was just a pattern setup which wasn't even inside of macro, and I just believed that it would work. And I was going down that bad spiral for around 4 months where I blew all my capital and I was not profitable for around 4 months straight. And then after that 4 month period, I was still working the job and I was questioning myself every single day. I was like, so I secured this first payout, but I haven't had a payout in 4 months, and am I actually profitable at this point? What is going wrong? At that point, I then signed up for TradeZeller and I started tracking and journaling all of the trades that I was taking and which macros were working and which weren't. And I identified that the London session was one of my worst performing macros. I was trading macros such as the lunch as well. So I was trading 11:45 to 12:15, and I was trading 12:45 to 1:15 p.m. So every hour is a macro, right? But there's specific macros which are more high probability than others. And the macros which I was initially trading was almost all of them within that 4 month period. And I cut it down to 3 specific macros. And this is what are the 3 most high probability macros. And it's the first day macro of 9:45 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. And then the second day macro, which is at 10:45 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. and the PM session, which is at 1:45 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. That's the 3 macros that I trade. You'll never see me trading the London session, Asia session. That's it. And trading those macros does not mean that every single day you're going to be trading every single one of those macros. If you catch a win, even if it's only 20 handles in that first AM macro, that's it. You're done for the day, close the chart, and you're off. If you're not satisfied with the amount of money that you've actually made, and that's first day macro, then you don't have enough capital. That is the simple answer to it. I see people saying, okay, we've caught 40 handles in the morning, but I've only made, $300. And then they see themselves trading the PM session trying to make more. But the reason why you only made $300 is because maybe you only have one 50K account. If you get multiple accounts and you build up 20 Apex accounts, 5 Top Step accounts, an FTMO account, a live account, and you put all that capital together, you're going to be pulling in $30,000 to $80,000 days on a bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly. So do you trade live accounts or you only stick to prop firms?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's a controversial question because there's a lot of people, they only stick to prop firms. Personally, I trade a mixture of both, and I'll explain now. So when I'm waiting for a payout with Apex or Top Step, which Top Step is pretty much next day payouts.
Yeah.
But with Apex, sometimes it can take around a week or two. And I don't want to be sat in the field of only trading, say, Top Step and no other accounts. And what I do in the waiting period of waiting for my Apex payout, I'll either trade my FTMO account or I'll trade my live Tradeovate account, which is around a $220,000 balance, and I can trade around 16 contracts, 12 contracts per trade, which is similar to what I'd be trading on Apex, which obviously is a little bit less because running 10 accounts with 4 full Enki contracts, that equates to 40 contracts. So I'm trading obviously less on the live account, but it's not prop firm, it's live. But that also leaves me in the position where I'm not just trading Top Step, but I trade Top Step and the live account at the same time, or I trade Top Step and FTMO. Ultimately depends on my decision. But in the actual end game, you want to move as much payouts and much money as possible to fund your live account. So you keep building your live account on the side, because initially my live account started around $2.5K. And as time has gone by, I have used the payouts from all of the funded accounts which I have, and every single payout that I've received, I've either put it into other investments and other businesses that I currently own, and I've also put a portion of that into the live account as well. And over time, with all of the profits made on the live account, it has been built up over time. And I know $220,000 is not that much of a significant balance, but over time it gets built up, and soon it will be at the status of around 1 million, 5 million, 10 million within the next coming years.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very well said. The end goal of prop firms, I think, is to actually build your live capital and trade
To
live
actually
funds.
transition over from prop firms to live accounts, because I see all of these traders these days, they're getting banned from prop firms. A few close friends of mine, they've just been banned from Apex. So you have to be careful with relying on prop firms as your main source of income, your main source of capital whilst trading.
Okay, so I think we've already asked this question, but has it always been ICT? And when did you find out about it?
It's not always been ICT. I've learnt from many other people, and I can't really recall their names off the top of my head. But when I was learning supply and demand and other concepts, moving averages, I was watching just random people on YouTube, not really having a clue in the world what I was doing, just praying that, you know, the boat would come in and everything would be okay. But it was never coming in, you know.
That boat's not coming.
It was just unprofitable and delusional, that thinking that you was going to make it in trading and start receiving payouts and start building your capital when you don't even have a clue in the world what you're doing. You're trading at almost midnight thinking that price is going to be moving at midnight. And at the time, I didn't even know that there was a New York session. I didn't know there was a London session. I didn't even know these things when I was trading retail concepts. So I was so delusional. And then obviously when I approached ICT, I had around 2 years of background trading experience, which allowed me to pick up ICT a lot faster than, say, someone who's never traded before. And then you approach ICT, you may struggle with it a little bit more than, say, I did, because I had 2 years of trading experience, but then I approached ICT and then it all clicked for me very fast, because I already had the 2 years prior of just messing around, not really knowing what I'm actually doing.
Yeah, most of the information out there is just retail nonsense, to be honest.
Yeah, and there's a lot of unprofitable traders claiming that they make money.
Yeah.
And they actually don't. So you have to be careful who you're listening to and who you're actually watching, because there's not many traders like us on social media who are doing it for real.
No, 100%. All right, so at what point did you become profitable?
So I would say it was around 2022. Obviously, the first payout came in of $10,000, and then 4 months later, I would say within that 4-month period after receiving that first payout, I was not profitable. I wasn't making money for around 4 months. The price action was clean, but I just didn't have a clue in the world what I was doing, and I believed that I could trade all the macros, which is certainly not the case. And then after that 4-month period, when I actually pulled everything together and narrowed my model down to only trading 3 macros, and I was looking for clean setups only, not trading pattern-based setups, actually trading liquidity-based setups, and specifically the unicorn model, which I'll go into later in the podcast as well, which is a chosen model which is extremely high probability. And that was the turning point in my trading career, especially for whilst trading ICT after that 4-month period. And then I actually secured another payout, which was around $12,000 to $16,000, if I recall correctly off the top of my head. And from that point onwards, I just started building my capital into 2023, and I currently am at 4.15 million in capital, which is 400k on FTMO. I have 550k accounts with TopStep, and then I also got 10 300k accounts with Apex, which I'm currently actually extending up to 20 accounts instead of 10, because I was actually initially waiting for a payout, which I received recently, of $85,000 from Apex. I put it all over social media. Feel free to go see the payouts which landed from Apex, but I received them. I'm happy with Apex. I had a few issues and a few concerns with Apex. I see other people not receiving their payouts, etc. I've received multiple payouts with Apex, but in the past I've had an issue with Apex actually paying me out for my account, and they closed one of my accounts down. But since that point, I had multiple payouts, but I just wanted to confirm I received this payout of 85,000 and it's all good. So now I'm scaling up to 20 accounts as we currently speak.
Yeah, Apex can be a little bit tricky or hard to get paid out in the first stages.
Yeah.
But if you do follow the rules, you will get paid out.
100%. They have a few rules which they obviously don't say on their website. So you purchase, say, an evaluation account, and you don't understand, but there's actually many 30% rules. You have the 30% rule of your max winning trade obviously can't be more than 30% of your total P&L. So Apex introduced a new rule where you can't lose more than 30% on a trade. So open P&L trailing, you can't lose more than 30% of your total P&L when you go to submit a payout.
But yeah, other than that, I think Apex is a great prop for them to go with. They will pay you out if you follow their rules.
Yeah, 100%. And TopStep as well. I highly recommend. I direct all of my viewers to TopStep and FTMO. They're the two prop firms I've never had an issue with. Even their support is amazing. I contact support, they're back to me in 24 hours. They're like, this, and this, and you're going to receive your payout in 12 hours. It's in. So when I submit withdrawals from TopStep, I withdraw it to my Wise account. I just put my email in, and it's already registered and done as of previously. But if you're doing it as your first payout, you just put your email in for your Wise account, and boom, it's in the next day. Done.
All right, so for the viewers watching, can anyone learn ICT?
It ultimately depends on your background experience with trading. I say if you're new to trading, you want to learn the like the ultimate basics of like candlesticks. That's like the ultimate basics.
Yeah.
But let's just say you already know that. I assume if you're watching this podcast, the majority of you guys are going to be ICT traders. But let's just say you're new to ICT and you have background trading experience, just maybe a year or two, you just know the basics, right? If you're approaching ICT, you may find it difficult, but if you go all at this, I'm telling you 100% within a 6 month to 1 year period, you will receive a payout. You will be profitable within a 6 month to 1 year period. And for some people, it's going to take longer. Some people, it may take 2 years. Some people may take 3 years. But I've seen many people who I've personally spoke to who have been new to ICT. I've seen them 6 months later and even 3 months later. They have had the aid and assistance from me a little bit. They've watched a few of my live streams and they've picked up the way I've traded a lot faster than, say, they just watched the 2022 and tried to go out into the forest on their own. But they've obviously had the assistance of me and they've watched the live streams and they've been able to receive payouts within a 2 to 3 month period, considering that the price action is decent. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, the price action for me personally, other ICT traders have been okay. But for me, October was a winning month, but it was a small winning month. It was definitely a slow month. And same goes for November. Only the week which is just gone, the price action was very clean, but the start of November was a little slow for us. Past week was definitely picking up and it's looking a lot cleaner and a lot easier to read. And I expect it to continue this way as time goes by. And that Trump's been elected, great news. It's amazing. So I expect the price action to be very clean for the next 4 years.
Yeah, 100%. So what made you start trading in the first place?
The reason why I actually originally started trading is because I see the lifestyle that it offers. And there's not many other businesses that you can do to get this sort of lifestyle where I would approach price depending on where I am in the world. Obviously, I'm currently in Thailand filming this podcast for you guys. And the time zone here is good for some people and bad for others. But for me personally, I don't mind it. And I'm never sleep deprived because the market opens at 9:30 p.m. over these sides. And it's the complete opposite to Miami. And I have an apartment in Miami. I mostly live in Miami these days. And at 9:30 a.m., you know, East Coast is the same time as New York. It's nice to trade at 9:30 a.m., but trading at 9:30 p.m. is also good as well. But the only thing is that when you trade the PM session, you're trading at like 1:30,
Yeah, no, the PM is
2:30
not.
a.m. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little difficult to stay awake and stay focused.
Yeah,
But
the PM session is not really it in Thailand. Obviously, you
Yeah.
have to stay up way too late. But that's if the first 2 AM macros are terrible.
quite rare that we trade the PM session, but, you know, we traded the PM session the other day and it wasn't a problem. It was 1:30 a.m. and we secured easy gains inside of the PM session.
Right, so what are your favorite things about trading?
My favorite things about trading is that it's a simplistic lifestyle. Obviously, some people are going to be, especially when you're new to trading, you may get a little stressed, you may get a little agitated and lose your mind a little bit. This goes on along the lines of revenge trading as well. A lot of people, they can struggle with revenge trading because they think, okay, I've traded this whole month. My balances remain the same, so I've been break even for this month. I deserve to pay myself for sitting at this chair. So what they do is very simple, you know, they just start taking dumb trades, which are not even trades, it's gambling. It's revenge trading is gambling. That's basically what it is. You have probably a higher probability of making money if you went to the casino. And I highly advise not to do this. And the way not to do this is to not do it. You know, people ask me, how do I not revenge trade? I've got 4.15 million in capital. If I started revenge trading and blew all that capital, it's going to take me months to get it back. So for a few seconds of revenge trading, it's going to cost me months to get it back. You think I want to waste months and all of the drawdown and everything that I've built over this period of time on every one of my accounts, because they're not standard accounts. Each one of my 300k accounts has been built up to a point where I trade 4 full NQ contracts on each 300k account. You guys see the live streams, you know how it is already. And they sit above $310,000 where they're not at or even close to 300,000. Obviously, the 300,000 balance, if it was to go to that point, that is the max drawdown on the account. Once you get past a certain point, it stops trailing at 300k or any account. If you got a 50k account and you scale that to 60k, that's the same as what I've got. So the illusion, the prop firm illusion is real. It is crazy because, you know, people would have a 50k account and they'd be like, oh, why don't I go for the 300k account? It's so much more money. No, it's not. You're not trading a 50k account and you're not trading a 300k account. This is what people need to get into their heads. You know, you're trading and you get funded the drawdown on the account. So when I get funded on a 300k account, you're getting funded a 7.5k drawdown there or thereabouts, and a 50k account around 2.5k drawdown, right? So you're trading a 2.5k account. So everyone who trades prop firms is basically over leveraging. So the max you can lose is 2.5k. And let's just say, for example, you get the 50k account, you get funded. If you build up that drawdown and you build the balance to 60,000, it stops trading at 50. Now you got a $10,000 drawdown, which is greater than a 300k account. So you've converted your 50k into greater than a 300k account. So if you had 2050s, it's the same as 2300s if you get them to 60,000. And that's what people need to understand. It's not really spoke too much on social media, but I highly recommend you do go down the path of doing that. If you don't want to purchase 300k accounts, just get 2050s and scale them up.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is all simulated funds unless you actually get offered a live account by one of these prop firms.
Yeah, and you can turn it down. Some prop firms, they will literally force it on you. They say, here's a live account. We're closing down all of your funded accounts. We want you on live account. Because obviously you're taking too much money from them. They put you on the live account to actually save them money at the end of the day. Some prop firms, you can turn it down if you're lucky, but it depends which prop firm you're actually with.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, you're literally getting paid out from all of the people that are blowing these challenges.
Yeah, literally.
You know?
Yeah. That's how prop firms pay people out. They pay you out from blowing accounts. People who pay the activation fee and they pay the evaluation for the account. You know, you're getting paid out from other people's losses, basically. That's why prop firms in the long run are not really something that you want to stay with in the long term, because eventually majority of these prop firms, you guys seen what happened to that Forex prop firm. What was it called? My Funded FX, or
it was like Forex funds or something like that.
Forex funds or something, and it just went absolutely bankrupt. And people who had, say, built up a drawdown of $20,000, that's $20,000 which you can withdraw. I can withdraw the $10,000 from each 300k account, like right now on Apex. You know, they don't have the 2 period of months. I can withdraw it right now, but why would I? Because then I'm going to be left with blown accounts. I'm going to be left with, say, a 1k drawdown, and next week I'll most likely lose the accounts. And that's what happened when their prop firms went down. Everyone lost the drawdown or the payouts. They just went bankrupt. Obviously, the prop firms, they're not ready for the long term. You got to take advantage now and then move and scale that money over into your live account.
Yeah, for sure. So mentally, what are the most important things when it comes to trading?
Straight away, the most important things mentally when it comes to trading is to remain calm and have a lot of patience. The amount of patience that I've endured, and people watching my live streams, they're literally shocked. They can't believe that we would wait through the first AM macro, the second AM, the PM, and then call it a day and take no trade. We come back the next day and I'm saying, okay, we have FOMC in the PM session, so therefore we're calling the whole day off, because if you have red folder news inside of the PM session, you're not going to want to trade the AM session. It's just low probability at that point. We're not going to trade the AM session, so we call the day off. And having patience in order to wait for the clean setup, because you guys, once you find your model, you know exactly what a clean setup looks like. So why engage with a low probability trade setup when you already know what a high probability trade setup looks like?
So how much time did you put into trading every day?
Initially, when I first started trading, when I was trading just retail concepts and normal concept, I was putting around just 1 to 2 hours a day. I wasn't too serious. I was also trying other businesses at the side as well. I was managing the iPhone repair business, and I also done like buying and reselling bikes. Every business you could think of, I already tried it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was doing and dabbling in and out of different businesses. But when it came to ICT, and I seen what ICT himself was actually talking about, and it instantly clicked with me. I was putting around 4 to 6 hours a day. Whilst working the security shifts, I was working in almost, you could call it a mental hospital, right? For like dementia patients. We have to manage these patients because, you know, they go out of control sometimes and you got to like tackle them to the ground and stuff. But when they're sleeping, it's perfect. I'm watching ICT. I'm sat there for around 8 to 12 hours, you know, and I'm literally listening ICT, and I was doing like 12-hour shifts, right? And I was going through 12 hours worth of 2022 mentorship every single day.
Yeah.
And I just had 2 AirPods in. I was locked in. I honestly couldn't care if the patient fell out of the window. You know, I was too locked in to studying the 2022 mentorship and other concepts around social media.
No, that's actually really good advice, because most people, they work 9 to 5 and they just sit there, you know, wasting time.
Literally,
you know, you're actually doing something, watching the mentorship.
Yeah.
So,
you know, some people, they can't be saved. That's because I've been working with all of these other people, and I'm alongside them, and I'm like, I've found the gold dust. I've found what's going to break me free from this job, right? And they're just so locked in and delusional. And then when they finally see you leave, they're like, oh, where's he gone?
Yeah,
Where's he gone? Yeah, I've quit my job. I'm out.
yeah.
You know,
He's out.
and not only am I out, I'm out the country. You know, I'm never coming back. See you later. I'm gone. And then it hits them. But then a month later, all of that thought process goes back out their head, and then you see them 5 years later, and they're still there. And some people, they can't be saved. And, you know, it's not your job to save anyone else. You got to focus on yourself, and that's it. Don't worry about anyone else. Because at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people, they're on different communities for trading. They're speaking with all these like-minded traders, and they're like, okay, so what are you doing for this AM macro? Are you looking for shorts or longs? And, you know, when it comes to trading, it's an independent game. It's you versus the markets. It's only you who's going to make it happen. So when you're relying on other people, there's always going to be one person who's going to be dictating or influencing the trades which you're actually going to take. But in order to get good yourself, you have to be thinking on your own terms. You want to be independent, because trading is a solo game.
Yeah, for sure. That's well said. So how long would it take to turn profitable someone that's new to ICT?
How long would it take for someone new to ICT to turn profitable? As we've already said, it ultimately depends on the trader and the person who's trying to learn ICT. And I know personally of other people who don't even trade ICT concepts. They trade other concepts outside of ICT, such as supply and demand. It didn't work for me. ICT worked for me.
Yeah.
But I see other people, and I know of other people, and they make money trading different strategies, different concepts. And ICT may not be for everyone, but for me personally, I do advise people to go in that direction, as it makes the most sense. And for me, it literally clicks. For me, supply and demand didn't really make any sense. ICT instantly clicked with me.
Right, so starting out, obviously, a lot of traders and business owners, they all go through this, okay? Did you have much support from family and friends? Because I understand a lot of people can, you know, doubt you.
Well, that's a great question. And everyone comes from different households. But for me personally, my family was very supportive along the process of trying to go down the entrepreneurial route, where I was trying to make my own business and make it work on my own terms without obviously relying on an employer. But there obviously was certain points of time when obviously I'm going from business to business and nothing's really working. There's no money coming in, and they're asking me, they're like, at some point surely you're gonna have to stop chasing the carrot and actually focus on your career, get some solid grades, go to university, get a degree, and actually have a solid income and a solid job. And that was the conversation at some points in time, because nothing was working, and I was obviously trying different things and they wasn't seeing any results. So there was points of doubt, of course, and obviously for many families that's going to be the case. My family always wanted me to do well in school, do well in sixth form, and do well in university. So obviously possibly go down the university route. They know it probably wasn't for me, but obviously you get the good grades in sixth form, which is A levels, or in the US they call it high school or college or whatever. But get good grades in that, and then go off and get some sort of job in a financial firm such as JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs, which I was gonna basically be a stockbroker or some sort of financial role such as that. I don't even think they do stockbroker jobs as much anymore, but you'd be some sort of financial analyst. And then it came to the point towards the end of sixth form. School for me was never a smooth process. So in year 10 in secondary school, I actually got kicked out. So I'll explain the story real quick. It's not really related to trading, but I was having already a tough time in school. You know, I was a menace in school.
Absolute menace.
Absolute menace. It was, I honestly couldn't explain the type of stuff we done in school because it was insane. But
This
like
video get
metal
demonetized.
metal bins, yeah, probably demonetized, but
Yeah.
metal bins getting thrown off balconies, doors, chicken wraps getting thrown at teachers' heads. Like, I was an absolute menace in school, and I could never really focus too much in class. The subjects which really clicked for me was like maths, and obviously, you know, you call it what, physical education, where you play it like PE.
PE,
you know,
yeah.
is that what they call it?
Yeah, PE, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously playing football and basketball and different sports, you know, that was the only thing which I really enjoyed in school. But there was this one day that I was leaving school on the push bike because I didn't have a license for a car. I was around like 13, 14 years old, and I was just walking, like pushing the bike like this, right, towards the shop, and I was with another friend. Some kid comes past with it. He's walking like a bit like, I don't know if there was an issue wrong with him or something, but he had this Lucozade And I don't know what was going through his head. And he poured the Lucozade on my bike. Like, I don't know if it was a joke or something, but I didn't really take that as a joke. So now the brakes are squeaking on my bike, so I'm pissed. So I go back into school the next day and I'm like, gonna find this kid and I'm gonna see where he is. And I knew what class he was going to, so we all tracked him down and he got destroyed. He was finished.
Yeah, it's finished.
You know? And that was that. And I got kicked out of secondary school and I was going around for around a month or two with no school, with like this community service kind of thing where we was just throwing darts and playing pool and eating food for around 2 months. I had no school to go to. Then I transitioned into a new school, which was around 5 miles away, and I settled in there well. And when I initially got kicked out of school, I thought my life was over. I was like, I've got no grades, I'm not gonna be able to get a job.
GCSEs.
Yeah, GCSEs. I thought I was gonna be unsuccessful for the rest of my life, and it really hit me. I was in a deep hole at the time. And then when I started a new school, I was like a new kid. You wouldn't even recognize me. No, I was literally like the perfect kid. And then it came to sixth form, and it all went downhill again. So the first year of sixth form, I was locked in. I was doing A-level maths because I got good grades in GCSEs, like enough to go to sixth form. And I done A-level maths, and I done IT and business. I was studying business, and I was speaking to the business teacher. I was like, "What businesses you own?" And he was like, "Nothing." So I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing here then." And that was 2 years where I was never listening to him, and I was just focused on making my own business at that point. I didn't really see the point in learning business in sixth form. And he was like, "Well, if you got a good grade in business in sixth form, then you can go to university and study business." And I was like, okay, well, surely if the professor at university knows business, he must, why is he at university teaching business? Surely he's got to go manage his own business. He hasn't got time to go teach other people. So that really just didn't really make sense in my head. And then I was learning IT, of coding websites and everything, which was interesting, 100%, but I never wanted to go down the route of IT. And then mathematics, it was an interesting subject and I was pretty good at it, but I didn't really see it getting applied to anywhere in life, which I was actually going to use. And then I'd say around, it was getting close to my exams. And when I took the exams, I was not in the point where I could get any good grades. So what I actually did, I went onto Reddit and I found all of the answers. Someone actually leaked the papers. I managed to find the papers for the exams in Reddit, and I copied the PDF and I printed the whole file for both ICT and business, and I took it into the exam, and the teacher was marking my test thinking that I was going to get a D or an E to fail the test, right? And I got an A. I got like an A star. I got a 98%. And she was like, no, this is not Milo, So she actually checked the CCTV camera in the examination room, and she seen me whipping out the whole PDF file of all of the answers and the coursework and everything, because it was like recorded coursework, it was a timed coursework which we had to get done and write an essay, and I just wrote the answer. Same with the maths exam. This didn't go well and I got kicked out of sixth form, and I actually went from sixth form straight to working, and then around 6 months to a year later, that's when I started. Whilst I was in sixth form, I had running multiple businesses at the same time, obviously not making any money. And when I got kicked out of sixth form, I started working and stacking up the money very, very slowly. I mean, in the UK, you're making like £2,000 a month off a job, if you're lucky, after tax. And then I was working these jobs whilst trying different things here and there. And then it was only when I came across ICT when it all started to click.
All right, so in the last 5 years of trading, what are some of the obstacles that you have gone through?
So some of the obstacles that I've gone through is obviously what everyone else goes through. So you guys would be familiar with revenge trading, right? And it's a simple question that they asked me, and the answer is to not do it. But I was doing it, right? Especially when I was early to trading, early to ICT, I literally could not control myself. I would take a loss and then I'd be like, okay, I see it has not hit London lows yet. Let's just try take another trade with say 2 contracts. I meant to half my position size in the next trade, which was initially 1 contract half down to 5 micros. But then you see me maybe 30 minutes later just absolutely losing my mind. And that's when I was going through that 4-month period as well. Not only was I trading all of the macros, but I was taking, say, a loss, which is completely normal. You're going to take a loss and you're going to have losing streaks and you're going to have win streaks. This is trading. This is completely normal and it's going to happen. And when I did take the loss, I just couldn't control myself and I went down the rabbit hole of revenge trading, emotions, had no patience. So it was a clean setup. Let's just say London highs get swept. The short-term high of London highs gets swept. It sharply displays its lower. We have a clean unicorn to go short and a drawn liquidity. We're in a premium. and we have equal London lows as well. Super clean setup, and it's outside of macro. And I was taking trades like that, and they was failing because they are outside of macro. And it's very important that you do not trade outside of macro. It doesn't matter to me if it's outside of macro by a minute, 2 minutes. We're not taking the trade. It's simple. And I'll very patiently wait for the second day of macro and the PM session, or not take any trades on that day in itself.
Yeah, I mean, most people are just not profitable just because they lack patience.
Yeah, it's very simple. A lot of people, they can't control themselves. They have no patience, and that is their downfall.
Yeah. All right, so I'm sure this is a highly requested question. What is your current win rate?
So my current win rate, it honestly depends on the month. So if you was to work out my win rate, feel free. A lot of people inside of my group, they've already gone through all of the past trades we took this whole year. And if you work my win rate in January, it's going to be different to what it is in February. And March and April, they've already worked out my win rate. March and April is sitting around 80% or 85%, especially in the month of April. We had 16 winning trades in a row with no losses and minimal, maybe 3 or 4 losses. I think it was 3 losses for the whole month. And every single trade that month was basically a winning trade. So you can call it an 85% win rate for that month. And then you come to a month like October, and the win rate's probably sitting around 45 to 50%. Still a profitable month, but it's nowhere near what you would claim of 85%. But an honest win rate throughout the whole of this year would probably sit around the range of 60 to 68%. Around that range, 60 to 68% win rate throughout this whole year. But each month, say a month in April, you're going to make $400,000 on payouts, and then in October you're not going to make as much. And you don't have to focus too much on the actual win rate and think, oh, I've only got a 60 to 68% win rate, which, by the way, is completely realistic. These other traders claiming 83%, 87% win rates is not realistic. You know, Goldman Sachs, big hedge funds,
Yeah.
they do not have 87% win rates. They make billions and billions of dollars. They don't have win rates such as 87%. They have high win rates for sure. They have the best traders in the world. And majority of the trades taken on the market these days, all done by algorithm. It's all done by robotic entries, which are done within milliseconds. Trades are taken within a second and executed. So they've entered and exited the trade within seconds. And that's the algorithm, and that's basically what ICT is created upon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, an 83% win rate, there's no way you can keep that up all year round.
It's unrealistic, but some months you are going to have an 83% win rate.
Yeah.
But throughout the course of the whole year, you're not going to be left even close to 70%. It's going to be around 60 to 68%, and that's a good win rate. Honest win rate. If you're catching 1 to 2, 1 to 3 risk to reward, even 1 to 5s, you know, your win rate ultimately depends on your risk factor.
All right, so what macros do you currently trade?
So obviously, as we've already said, there's only 3 macros that I trade, and it's the first day of macro, the second day of macro, and the PM. The first day of macro is at 9:45 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. and then you got 10:45 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. and the PM session, which is at 1:45 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. That's the 3 macros we trade. We don't take trades in all of them every single day. We take a maximum, absolute maximum. You'll never see me take more than 1 to 2 trades in a day. And there's only one scenario that we take the second trade. And if the first trade is a loss, then we have one more opportunity with half position size inside of the next macro, looking for A+ setups only. So if the first trade is a loss, let's say we lose 20 handles in the first day of macro, you know it's going to happen, and it does happen, of course. We'll wait for the next macro, the second day of macro or the PM session. Considering, let's just say it's Monday with no red folder news, you're not going to trade the PM session or monitor it. So then you'll call it a day. But let's just say it's Tuesday with red folder news, then you'd monitor the PM session and an A+ setup presents itself. You took a loss in the AM, you approach the PM, half position size, and looking for A+ setups only.
Yeah.
That's the 3 macros which I trade.
Cool. So for someone out there who's currently working a 9 to 5, right, they've not made it with trading, they're trying to pay their bills, etc. How would you balance working a 9 to 5 and trading at the same time?
I've done it myself, so I'm definitely one to speak about this. And dealing with, you know, working a 9 to 5, whether you're working night shifts or day shifts and trying to manage trading at the same time, you have to go about this on the time zone that you're currently in. So let's just say, for example, you're in the US, you're on the East Coast, the market opens at 9:30 a.m., same, you know, New York local time. And preferably you want to be working night shifts, because if you start at 6 p.m. and finish at 6 a.m. and you come back, trade, and then go to sleep up until your next shift, that would probably be the only way you'd be able to do it. But you don't want to be working and then trying to whip out your phone or whip out the laptop whilst you're mid-shift. That's just not going to work, and you're not going to find profitability like that. Maybe you may be able to pull it off depending on what job you're doing, but that's unrealistic, whipping out a laptop whilst you're working. So you want to schedule your work outside of the hours which you would be trading and minimize the amount of hours which you are working the job. So if you can cut it down to 3 days a week and still pay the bills, still pay the rent, and you can still eat right, 3 to 4 days a week, you don't have to work 6, 7 days a week. Work 2, 3 days a week where you're making enough, and then the days which you have off, you're doing basically 8 to 12 hour shifts, but on yourself. This is what people don't understand. I never understand this. People would go to work, they'll do a 12-hour shift for someone else they don't even know and they don't even like. But when they come home, they cannot even put in more than 1 to 2 hours of watching and consuming content and improving themselves. They can't get themselves to the gym.
Yeah.
They can't do the basic things to improve themselves. But when it's for a paycheck, when it's for literally $100 and they go to work for 12 hours, they do it consistently. They turn up every day, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. People like that are just too comfortable in their job.
They're finished.
Right, so what did your friends and family say when you started prioritizing trading over school?
So when I started prioritizing business over education, I always knew in the back of my head that education, and you need that basic education, but you need more like real life experiences, because me as an employer myself, I have people who edit my videos. I have, different businesses that I run, and I employ people for them specific roles, which I'm not a master in that field. So I get them, which they've been doing it their whole life, and maybe they are qualified in, say, doing that specific role. So I employ them to do that. But let's just say I have someone that I'm looking to employ. You really think I'm going to be looking at their degrees or the fact they have a degree in geography or a degree in architecture, or they can fly a plane? Amazing. But I'm employing you for this specific role, let's just say to fix my door, right? I want you to be able to fix the door. I don't care if you have a degree. I want to see proof and work experience, real life experiences. This is what university doesn't offer. They give you the knowledge for, say, something that is not even applicable for what they want to do in their future. So majority of people, you speak to them at university, I'm like, where do you see yourself in 3 years? Like, what job? Maybe some people, they'll be at university studying a doctor's degree and they're going to be a doctor. They know what they want to do. That's great, and we're not going to try fault what they're doing. If you want to go to university, you go to university, and you got to know what you're doing. But so many people at university, they're doing a geography degree thinking, great, I've got this on my CV. I got the best grade in geography, but really no employer is going to see that as of value. That's when I started prioritizing business and trading over education, because there was nothing in university or education that I found valuable to myself, which was going to get me to where I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, like you said, there's literally no reason why you should be going to university, in my opinion. Yeah.
And it's just a cash grab for the government. They're getting in $60,000 of debt, which majority of people never even pay back. And majority of them are at university and they don't even know why they're there.
Yeah.
Majority of them, they're there for a fun time. 2 years, they do drugs and party for 2 years. Before you know it, they come out, not even 2 years. Some people are locked in for 7 years.
They're locked in, mate.
And they get to university at 20 years old. They come out at 25. And at that point, you are a full-grown man with no real life experiences. Yeah. And your life is literally finished. And if you don't get your stuff together after university at 25 years old within the next, of course people make it when they're 40 and, other people make money at different ages, but who cares about the guy who's 40? He's in a nice car. They're going to look at me, or they're going to look at someone like you watching the video now who's maybe 20 to 30 years old, and they're going to be watching you in the car, not some 60-year-old guy. They don't care, because that's pension money.
All right, so how much money would someone watching the videos need to start trading?
How much money do you need to start trading? You don't need that much. And if you are new to starting trading, you need to forget about the concept of making money and forget about how much you need to start, right? You need to learn the basics, and you need to learn study the content. You need to understand what you're doing and find your model. Once you know exactly your model, you've traded demo for the first 3 to 6 months of trading. So say you've studied the 2022 mentorship, you studied the market maker series, you watched a few of my videos or a few other people on social media, you've understood the unicorn model, you've understand different concepts for ICT. There's not just the 2022 model that you can trade, but there's many other models that in different seasonal tendencies that you actually want to adapt to and trade other models as well. And once you have actually found your model and you find yourself consistently profitable on a demo account for 3 to 6 months, you see your win rate, say 60 to 70% within that 3 month period, and you've grown your balance from say $50,000 to $70,000 within that 3 month period on just a demo account. That's when you transition to prop firms. And let's just say you went with Top Step, for example. You don't have to go for max allocation funded straight away. You don't have to go with Apex and try and get 20 accounts. Just start with one 50K account, prove to yourself, trade consistently. Do not do any bad emotional trading where you're revenge trading. Trade it normally for 2 months. If you trade that 50K account, let's say you start with one 50K account and you trade it normally for 1 month. Okay, cool. Now you're funded. Now you just do that all again. So 1 month to get funded and 1 month to get paid out. That's it. And that's it. 2 month period. It may seem like a long time, but then you receive that first payout and then you use that first payout to get more accounts. And that's how you scale your capital over time. And then you're not receiving 5K payouts from one account, you're receiving 5K from 5 accounts, 25K. And that's how you start scaling up and receiving bigger payouts.
All right, so what is the most amount of money you have ever made in one single trade?
So the most amount of money that I've made in a single trade is that it's not, oh, whoa, there's not one specific trade which really stands out from the others. It's like, some traders, they'll be like, oh, there was this one trade I took 5 years ago and I made $200,000. For me, I have a set risk management. And when I take the trade, it's most likely, if it goes to final TP, which doesn't all of the time is not going to go to final TP, but when it does go final TP, usually final TP would be around 130 to 170 handles, right? And the biggest day for me was 170 handles with full position size, which was sitting around $60 to $70,000. And that day I traded Apex and Top Step combined with full position size, so it was around a $50 to $60,000 day. And that was my biggest day.
How do you deal with tax?
So I don't really want to talk tax too much on this podcast, but I'll go into it for people who want to benefit from different parts of the world with paying tax, because if you're in the UK, for example, you're going to be paying anywhere from 20 to 40% tax. And I know in America, in the US, there's different parts of the US which have better tax than others. And, California is definitely a place which has extremely high tax, similar to the UK. I believe it's around 30 to 40%. And I've heard people even say 50%. But, personally, what I've done is register a separate business in Dubai. You can pay around $3,000, $4,000. I was actually visiting Dubai recently because you have to go every 6 months. You visit once every 6 months, which keeps the actual contract of running your business in Dubai. They give you a visa, a bank account, and if you have and know someone in Dubai who currently has a business, which I do, I contacted them and they was able to set up my business as well. And it was only around $3,000. And trust me, the amount of tax I'm paying in the UK, I would pay $10,000, I'll pay $100,000, just to save on the tax I'm paying in the UK. And now I'm paying tax in Dubai, which is 0%. And I'm paying a 0% tax rate in Dubai on what I currently earn through trading and other sources of income. So all of the businesses around the world which I'm currently running, they run through my AUE business, which is registered in Dubai. It only costs around $3,000 to register, and it's 100% one thing that every trader should do. Not just Dubai, but there's other tax havens around the world which you can register your business in as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially if you're inside the UK, guys, you don't want to be paying 40% tax. That's crazy.
It's the biggest scam that I've ever heard. You work hard and make your money, and then they take 40% and they leave you with 60%. And then when you go out the shop, this is just life, but we don't have to go down the basics on how tax is taken from every single purchase, you know what I mean?
All right, so which prop firm would you recommend?
So as I already said, I direct people to Top Step and FDMO. There's never any issues with withdrawals. They have quick customer service, and I'm not affiliated, or I'm not going to make any money from saying this. I'm just trying to direct you guys in the right direction. Top Step, FDMO, can't go wrong.
All right, which session is the highest probability?
Well, it's very clear. The highest probability session is the first day macro, 9:45 a.m., 10:15. That is your window. You look for your entry within that window. You do all of your analysis. You approach price at 8:30 a.m. and at 9 a.m. you look for an algorithmic sweep at 8:30, which usually determines the bias for the first day of macro. There's usually an algorithmic sweep at 8:30. It may take Asian lows, London highs, Asia highs. You know, it will take some sort of liquidity level, usually an algorithmic sweep at 8:30. That's one thing to look out for. Not all of the time you're going to have it. And then at 9 a.m. you want to mark out the key levels on the 15-minute to 1 hour time frame. You want to mark out any sort of equal highs and a premium London highs, London lows, which runs from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. That's the London session. And you want to mark out the key draws on liquidity and understand where price is likely to draw to. So you start on the higher time frame, let's start on the daily or the 4-hour time frame, and understand where the next 4-hour candle is likely to expand to. Where is it likely to draw to? Have we previously swept a major level of sell side liquidity on the higher time frame? We've tapped into a higher time frame bullish imbalance and we've displaced higher on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so now price is likely to draw towards the next level of buy side liquidity. We're currently in a lower time frame discount. We've retraced to a discount. That will be our bias initially in that macro to look for longs. And it's important because I see traders, you know, they have such a strong bias looking for longs that they fade out the point that a very clean short setup is right in front of them and they miss it. And they are so hooked on the point that they have a bullish bias that they take a long setup which is not valid and they think it's valid and they end up taking a loss on it, but the clean short setup was right in front of them. So the way I actually go about this is by actually initially going with a bullish bias, but in the back of my head I'm thinking if this happens and this and this happens, then that's gonna ultimately switch my bias to shorts and we're going to be looking for shorts.
But yeah, you've got to have a very open bias going into the morning because some traders, they'll marry the bias and just totally mess the whole session up.
Yeah, they messed the whole session up. They're so hooked on a bullish bias that they missed the clean setup to go short.
All right, so taking partials and managing a stop placement.
Personally, I take partials. Usually the first DP would be resting around 25 to 30 handles. Or sometimes in cases we've run, one sec, I'm just going to have some water. The throat is getting dry. I mean, it's like around 30 degrees over in Thailand. But anyway, so the first DP, we rest at a short-term high, minor buy-side liquidity, around 25 handles. In some cases, we've run it at 45 handles. And there's a second TP which we run and a final TP. So only 3 TPs. At first TP, we close 50% and trail our stops to the previous short-term low, or sometimes majority of the time at break even. And then our second TP rests usually around 50 handles, or say a 62 or 50% retracement, or another level of minor buy side liquidity along the way towards final TP. And final TP rests at the opposing liquidity, such as London highs or London lows, depending on whether you're going long or short. And stop placement is very important. If the trade is a very clean trade, however the stop placement is not valid, you're not going to take the trade. Because if your stop is resting inside of that bullish gap which you're initially entering off, that's not a valid stop placement. You want your stop to be resting at the high or the low of the unicorn model, depending on whether you're going long or short. And that would be a valid stop placement. And personally, I don't put a stop greater than 25 handles. If the stop is greater than 25 handles, it's usually not a clean setup and not a trade that you want to engage with.
Yeah, very well said. All right, so how do you deal with prop firms and managing drawdown?
So as I've already stated inside of this podcast, but dealing with your prop firm accounts, and actually once you've got funded, you're actually scaling these accounts up is very important. And I go by the 75% rule. If you don't want to scale your accounts to say $10,000 in profit, and you, of course, you know, you just got funded, you're up $5,000, you may want to withdraw 50% of that. That's okay. But your initial drawdown, let's say for example, let's make it easier. Your initial drawdown, let's say it's $1,000. You do not want to withdraw anything more than to the point where you got $750 of drawdown left. It's a 75% rule. So let's just say you have a 10K account with a max drawdown of $1,000, which is 10%. You would not want to withdraw the point where, and let's just say that account at $10,000 stops trailing at $10,000 and you're into a profit of $5,000. So you would withdraw all of the profit and leave $750 in the account, which is 75% of the initial drawdown provided on that account. And you know, I never even go close to that point. I don't personally go off that, but I've seen and guided people in that direction, which leaves your accounts still in a good point where you're not going to be close to blowing that account at all. If you use the correct risk management, you're going to be just fine. But I also do recommend people build up their initial drawdown on the account significantly before actually submitting that withdrawal. And when you do submit the withdrawal, just make it a little bit smaller than actually wiping the whole balance out and leaving yourself in a sticky situation where you're left with almost little to no drawdown after that payout.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely make sure to leave some funds in there so you can carry on trading that account. All right, so explain the benefits of taking just one trade a week and how that can change your life.
Yeah, so a lot of people, they think, okay, I'm going to trade every single macro. I got to take multiple trades throughout the week. But, you found your model. You know exactly what you're looking for. So you might as well wait for extremely high probability trade setup. You know exactly what an A+ setup looks like. And when you come across it, maybe you're not going to come across an A+ setup, multiple times a week. You're going to come across it once a week at best.
Yeah.
And when that setup comes across, you take it with full position size. Let's just say you take it with full position size, and you can only take A+ setup, say, once a week, and that'll be done for the week. That is still going to make you way more money than someone who's taking 10 trades of low probability, because they're going to be taking multiple losses. Maybe 7 of the trades would be losses, or 5 of the trades would be losses, and then they'd have 5 wins. But your one win with one A+ setup would be more than what someone else is making with 10 trades.
Yeah, I mean, these people are opening themselves up to more significant risk constantly.
They're taking, 5 trades a day,
Yeah.
or 3 to 5 trades a day, and just absolutely going crazy, thinking they can trade as much as they like, trading, way more than they actually should be, thinking that it's going to make them more money, but that's certainly not the case. That's not the
For
case.
sure. Explain how taking accountability for your own trades is so important.
You know what it is? A lot of people, they would blame their own decisions and their own losses and issues with their trading style on other things. They'd blame it on the concept. They'd blame it on who they learnt from. Or they just blame it on anything apart from themselves. When you take a loss, you took the loss. You need to identify what caused you to take the loss. Maybe your thought process and everything was correct, and you are going to take A+ setups and they're going to fail sometimes, and you take a loss. And then you just take down the shoulder, you approach price the next day, and you go at it again. It's going to happen. And sometimes your complete thought process, everything was correct, and it's a losing trade. That's normal. That's going to happen sometimes. So don't be hard on yourself thinking that you've done something wrong, because not all of the time you're going to do something wrong. But there is some points early in your career when you are going to be taking a lot of mistakes. You're going to be taking many trades which come with many lessons and mistakes. And me personally, and same with you, when we was trading ICT in the early days, it almost was like every single trade that we took, we learned a new lesson.
Yeah.
Every trade we took, we was like, we should have done this, or this is what we shouldn't have done because of this. And eventually many of you may be experiencing this now if you're new to ICT, but I'm telling you for a fact, this point and this learning curve will eventually stop. And you'll get to the point when you're extremely patient, you've found your model, you know exactly what you're looking for, and you're no longer really learning any lessons. And I'm at the point now where I don't learn anything. That's it. I have my model and I approach price and just make money. That's it.
Explain the power of free.
So the power of free goes along as a confluence of many of the trades that I've personally taken, along with the unicorn model, which is a very, very clean setup. And with the power of free combined with the unicorn model and a few other confluences which play into the trades, such as SMTs and obviously clean market conditions, that's what makes an A+ setup. And the power of free is accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. And you look for price to accumulate after or prior to the New York Open. And then let's just say at the New York Open, you could have a Judas swing where price immediately darts down towards a set of sell side liquidity. And that would be the manipulation phase, where it actually goes towards sell side, it sweeps sell side, manipulates. It will possibly take out some sort of short-term low which is created below sell side, and then you get the distribution, which is the actual move after, and that is the power of free. It's a very, very key thing, and it happens very often, and it accumulates, manipulates, it will stay around that level, build some structure, and then you'd see the distribution. The distribution is where you make the money, along
Yeah.
with the displacement, and that's the point when you make the money.
Yeah, that's ideally the phase you want to be entering a trade at, is the
Yeah.
distribution. That's the
Distribution
bulk
phase.
of the move. Yeah.
It's a very high probability condition to be in when you know that the power of three had already occurred, and then you see a unicorn model in the favor of the initial bias which you had for that macro, and that's a very, very high probability trade setup.
Very clean. All right, what is your go-to model?
So my go-to model, as I've already discussed in this podcast, is obviously the unicorn model setup, along with the power of three. So a unicorn model, along with a bullish SMT, for example, and power of three, and you have a clean set of equal highs or London highs, which is clean drawn liquidity, which is aligning with your initial bias for that macro. That's extremely high probability trade setup, and that is the model which I trade day in and day out, and that's the one which has the highest win rate, the highest probability of playing out. And I've seen it fail multiple times. I'm not telling you guys that you're going to have this crazy win rate. You know, you're going to be profitable, but at the end of the day, the one thing, you know, put everything to the side. But if you don't have the correct risk management, you're not going to be profitable. You know, you need to have the correct risk management. It's the one thing which is above everything else. You take a trade with the correct risk management for your actual account size, say you're with a 50k account. I have a whole guide inside of my group, ICT Bible. I've made a separate Telegram channel which actually has the correct risk management for every single account size with every single prop firm that we actually recommend using. And when you are to take a loss, because you will take a loss, it's inevitable, it's going to happen. When you take a loss, you halve your position size and you stay at half position size until you have a winning trade. You go back to full position once you have a winning trade, and so on and so forth.
I mean, any strategy you go with, you're going to take losses either way. So
yeah, 100%. As long as you have the correct risk management, it doesn't matter what strategy you're trading. If you're trading ICT or trading something else, if you have the correct risk management, you're not going to be profitable in any part of trading.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, risk management is not only trading, but it's other businesses as well. You know, if you're running, say, an Airbnb business, for example, and your total capital is, say, $200,000, and you've just bought 5 properties, right? And you've put, say, a deposit down, and you've just blown your 200k of capital, and you have no credit limit or anything else, and you've left yourself at zero, that's not a good position to be in. So risk management doesn't just apply to trading, but it applies to any other businesses that you're currently running.
ICT the man or ICT the trader?
You know, it's a very controversial topic, and ICT the man or ICT the trader. Personally, I follow the ICT the trader. I think ICT as a person is a topic in itself, you know. ICT himself, the amount of hours which I've possibly, you could say I wasted, or you could say that ICT was trying to teach some sort of lesson, because he does these like Twitter speeches. He
does ramble on a little bit.
You know, when you tune into the Twitter speeches, he doesn't really do them as much anymore because he's off Twitter. He's on Twitter, he type a few things here and there, but he's not like fully on Twitter where he's doing them speeches which he used to do when we was initially learning, and he would do these speeches for like 3 hours, and he would talk about, obviously, on the concept of, say, religion, which is, I'm religious myself, but I'm not going to say, you know, I'm here to learn about trading. And then he's going on the concept of his son, religion, how he just bought a new house, how he's just had chicken for dinner, you know, and then out of nowhere,
he dropped the gems.
He'll say something which would make me think, and I'll be like, whoa, I didn't know that.
He did drop a few gems, and then
and that's important, and that's why you listen to him for 3 hours and you'd have 2 notes out of it. But that might be the point which really helps you excel. And that's the whole point in me making the videos on my YouTube channel, is that I've cut all of the waffle and bullshit from ICT, and I've actually simplified it completely on my YouTube channel. And so have many other people on YouTube. You don't have to watch me, but you can watch other people on social media. You know, they've broke down ICT. They've simplified it to a T. Without ICT waffling for hours on end. You don't have to waste your time. Straight to the point.
Exactly. What is your biggest win streak and biggest losing streak?
It's a very great question. Transparency on both sides. So our greatest win streak was in the month of, I believe it was March or April. It was an extremely clean month. The amount of money we made in those months was disgusting. In April, we had a win streak of 16 winning trades in a row. So it got to the point of 16 trades. We did not take a single loss. And some of those trades were, 130, 170 handles. And in the month alone of April, this year alone, we're up over 3,000 handles on NQ, which is insane. 3,000 handles. I don't, call over some other traders who are doing that, but I don't know many traders in this space who are pulling 3,000 handles, which feel free to go through all of the trades we took this year. And people have made Excel sheets, but we've done over 3,000 handles this year. And I've done just under 1 million in payouts just through prop firms alone. And the majority of the payouts were within the months of February up until August. Past month or so has been relatively slow. Obviously, I had the payout of Apex for 85k, but apart from that, it's been relatively slow for the past month and a half. Mainly due, I would say, to the election. Prior to the election, the price action was awful.
Yeah, it was
But
terrible.
only recently it started to pick up again.
It's starting to pick up now, yeah.
A lot cleaner.
Biggest losing streak.
The biggest losing streak was actually recently. We took around 8 losses in a row, which was our greatest losing streak inside of our group. And for me, myself, our other losing streak was actually in July, where we took 6 losses in a row. Obviously, our risk management is on point, and this should not and does not affect anyone with the correct risk management, and they've built up a significant drawdown on their accounts. Your accounts will not get affected at all. But our greatest losing streak was 8 losses in a row, which was recently. And obviously the first trade, let's say it's at full position size. The second trade is at half position size, and we stayed at half position size throughout the whole losing streak. And then you have a winning trade, and after a losing streak of, say, if you lose more than 4 trades, when you actually have that winning trade, it doesn't always make sense. It depends on your drawdown. This is what I say to everyone else, is that just because you've had a winning trade does not mean that you can go back to full position size. If your drawdown is affected after a losing streak, then you can still continue at half position size. You build up your drawdown to where it's okay and it's good and it's in a healthy position, and then you can go back to full position size. Because just because you're taking a win does not mean that you go back to full. And then what if you take a loss at full? Then you're in a really bad situation with drawdown. Personally, myself, I never have an issue with drawdown. I've built up a buffer on all of my accounts, so when I do have that winning trade, even if it is after 8 losses, I'm back to full, and there you go. And we're building the account back up. And when you're trading your accounts, you're gonna see as a positive equity curve. You're gonna have points of drawdown, and then you're going to have where your accounts are constantly growing, and then you submit payouts, right? But that is the end goal. You just have a positive equity curve in your accounts, and losing streaks are going to happen.
So how do you deal with all the controversy and DMs on social media?
I try my best, and I prioritize, obviously, the members inside of the group. I try my best, honestly, to reply to as many DMs as possible. I only got 10 fingers and no assistance on replying to DMs because I want to reply myself.
Yeah.
I want to be genuine. I don't want someone else, replying to my DMs for me. If anyone's replying to my DMs, it's me. So I try my best to reply to as many DMs as possible. And there's obviously people saying different things, but I mostly, don't really have the time to answer too many of the messages. The best place to reach me is through the live streams. People ask me questions and I answer live straight away and answer any questions that they may have. We even yesterday done a backtesting session where we backtested a few of the trades that we actually took around 3 weeks ago. We just backtested a few sessions inside of that live stream for the group, and it helped them understand the overall thought process of what we initially looked for prior to the AM macro, or say it's the PM session. Prior to the PM session, what do we look for prior to the PM session? We look for a clean set of lunch highs, lunch lows, or any key draws on liquidity for that lunch session, so on and so forth.
Now, the backtesting sessions, for many people, they find that very helpful. How long did you take to get to where you are now and also gain all of your funding?
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't a fast overnight success to get to where I am now. This is years of hard work. This is years of what people don't really see, And then they see the point when you've been paid out, you've left the country, and now you're in a villa, and they're like, what's going on? They think this guy's done it in about a few weeks.
Yeah, overnight success.
But they don't listen to it as well. You'd be saying, okay, I'm learning this, I'm learning that, and I'm gonna do it, but they don't really believe you. They turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
And then when it happens, they think it's overnight success, and they don't see the points when you're walking up the hill trying to catch the bus in the cold. It's like -1, it's raining, you're catching the bus back from the gym, and then you're off to work, and you're trying to manage and learn trading at the same time. They don't see that. They only see the success parts of things, All
right, so how can the viewers find you on social media?
How can people find me on social media? How can you not find me on social media? This podcast is most likely gonna do pretty well. This is gonna blow up all over social media.
Yeah.
But you can find me linked on this channel. You guys are watching this podcast on my personal channel, so just subscribe to this channel, like it up, comment, ask any questions you guys like, and I'll try and reply to as many of the comments on this video as possible. Find me on Instagram. There'll be a link in the bio as well for the Instagram and TikTok. You know, I'm not really too active on TikTok, but there's a few followers on there. Not as many on Instagram and YouTube, but more videos, more podcasts coming out. We travel around the world. We're in new countries every single week, every single month. So there's going to be more podcasts all around the world, and there's other podcasts which we have shot in Miami previously, so feel free to go check them out as well. And yeah, that's where they find me on socials, pretty much. ICT Fanatic on all platforms.
How can people watch you trade live as well?
For people who want to watch me trade live or watch anyone else trade live, you know, ICT does his sessions on the 2024 mentorship. You can watch other people trade live, but if you want to watch me personally, there's a link below. Check it out, and you can come watch me trade live as well and join the community.
All right, so just to finish the podcast, one last final question. Where will you be flying next?
Where am I flying next? You know, I can't really put a finger on it of where I'm actually going to fly next because it's so hit and miss. 1 minute I'm thinking that I'm flying to Brazil. The next minute I'm thinking that I'm going to fly Colombia because I got a few Latinas waiting for me on the other sides. You know, there's Latinas overseas and in different countries all around the world, and it's kind of hard to manage. So if any of you guys know, you know, someone who runs a business where they can manage all of the women, so I don't, you know, take it off my shoulders a little bit. Maybe we're going to perform better inside of the New York AM Macro if all the women are off my shoulders, you know, and I get someone managing it for me. But which country we're going to next is probably going to be Miami or Colombia, to be honest.
I mean, it's hard to say because like we will book a flight and we won't turn up to it. You know,
it's that we do that many times. You know, we book villas and we don't even turn up to the villa next door. We probably booked it. That's why it's empty. It's not, you know, I honestly couldn't tell. It'll probably be out tomorrow. Probably be flying up tomorrow. But it's been a great podcast. And thank you guys for watching. And that is it. Done for the video.
Nice one. Take it easy, boys.